Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Another week, another edition of the show. This week I have Ned from the awesome band Glitterer. It's a band that I've followed from his quirky trying laptop days of creating music and putting out sounds to now having a full band and doing some righteous other shit. So it's an honor to have you here, Ned, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Let's talk about the newest thing in the room. I mean, you recently released an album, and that is, it's one of those things where it's finally out into the universe. It's had some time to settle a little bit. How are you feeling now that is out?
I feel like I still have stuff to be doing, which I don't know is not a bad feeling to have. This is our fourth album, and it's the first album we put out on a label called Purple Circle, which is a label I do with my brother Ben. And so it was a somewhat different experience for us, just in that we were completely in control of everything. So the process was kind of sped up because we didn't really have to abide by anybody else's schedule, and we were just kind of able to do things as we wanted. And so from recording to release, it was only about 3.5 months.
Wow.
So it went pretty quick. And so I think I'm still just in that zone. Even though the record's out, it's available, it's in stores, it's, we played some shows. I'm still just kind of like trying to figure out how to make sure that the record is existing appropriately or something along those lines. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I feel like I feel content with the way the record came out. I'm happy with how everything went logistically. We got all the records out on time. We got it to some really cool stores. We got some international distribution. Just kind of like building our community bigger and bigger, which feels really great because it's I don't know, that's something that I'm really focused on these days. And so yeah, it feels good just to be tapped into all those places at the moment.
Yeah. Now, even though you have your label with your brother, I have my own label as well, and it's not without its pains, right? So the fact that you were able to get things out on time or on schedule is pretty awesome. And when focusing and being able to have something else like that, like you said, you got to do it on your own schedule, right? And that's always the hardest thing when other people try to play around and do things. Do you was it a more, I mean, I don't want it to sound like anything else was ever really bad, but was it just more of like no pressure on you because you're doing it for yourself and you're handling everything from the beginning to the end all yourself?
I kind of felt like there was more pressure, to be honest with you. And that's just because I wanted it to be
Perfect.
good. Yeah. And the thing is, the record labels that we worked with in the past, I think very highly of Anti. And I think they did a really good job, but they also have been a label for decades, and they have a pretty serious staff of people kind of making sure everything goes right. And so I was trying to make it go just as smoothly and look just as nice and be just as available with, two people doing all the work ourselves in, half the time. And so that's a lot of pressure, because also inevitably things are going to get screwed up,
Yeah.
like the label on the record says 45, the record was cut at 33.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where like I look at that and I'm like really bothered by it. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
In order to get at that point, in order to get the record out on time, we couldn't change it. And so these things, like we learn from them, they will be fixed. And like the pressure that I put on myself was somewhat unrealistic because like, yeah, we're going to make mistakes. We have two people doing everything, and it's just inevitable that we're going to screw something up, and that's okay. I think maybe there's also like a human element to it as well. I think the like approachability of things has always been something that's attracted me to punk. And I like when I listen to records and I hear something that's kind of out of tune or something that's not perfect, because I don't know, it's more focused on the emotion than anything
It's humanizing.
else. Yeah. And so I want this to be something similar. I want people to look at this and feel like they can put out their own record. And, that's not the goal. It's not to inspire people. Like I'm not that ridiculous. But it is just like something that I thought was really important when I was younger, of just seeing other people doing something I thought was cool and realizing that I could myself could do that. It doesn't take these special talents or this special knowledge. It's something that anybody can do. And so, yeah, I think that was something that attracted to me to punk at a young age. And it's something that I still think is important. And so I try to remind myself that like, yeah, we are just people and we screw things up, and that's okay. And like it shows, but hopefully that's something that makes people realize that we're just people doing these things and we're no different than anybody else.
Yeah, I think it might bring a new aspect too. If someone has never heard your music, buys it off the cover, and then plays it at the wrong speed, and then figures out it's at the wrong speed, and then they get to choose, well, maybe I like it at the wrong speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got our first shipment for our very first solo release, and there's a slight warp to every record. So I'm dealing with that now.
Yeah.
And our release date is January 16th. And they're like, well, why don't you send them all back? I'm like, you don't understand. Like, we're doing the inners now. We're doing all this other stuff. And like, what the fuck is going on? So
yeah, it's
it's fun.
Yeah.
Now, with doing all this kind of stuff yourself, like, and I mean, your entire track record of, starting Glitter and back in what, 2016, 2017. And I mean, you have all this stuff and it seems like you just have this, it, don't take this the wrong way. People like you just make me sick sometimes because you just have such a wealth of material that you're pumping out like 10 songs at a time and they're all like fucking good. And it's just like, how do you stop your mind from writing songs?
Uh, I don't know. I kind of don't, you know. And
Yeah.
for me, one of the big things at the beginning of the band was trying to disrupt this idea of like the album cycle or something of of this like the preciousness of these things that I think are kind of ridiculous. That being said, I think like the album as or any the release that like an album, an EP, whatever. Like I think these things are really important, and I really respect them. But I think this idea of like you put on a record, you tour on it for 2 years, and then you got to go and like take some time off and think about things, and then come back, and then hopefully you can start working on another record, and it will show this progression or this like improvement on this thing. And it's just like, no, who cares? It's just like we're just making music, and we're just trying to do that. And so I don't know, I'm the kind of person where I just like to be working on things. It's tough because I feel like once you kind of finish a project, I feel like I'm really spent, and I feel like it takes me a little while to get back in the swing of things. But once it gets started, then it's just like I keep going until I feel like we're finished. And so I'm able to just kind of, I don't know, try to I'm able to work on things and not get sick and tired of them. And I guess maybe that's a skill, but for the most part, it's just like, I don't know. I just try to play music, try to get together with everybody, try to just like keep things moving because like that's, I don't know, that's one of the most enjoyable parts about being in a band is that being able to collaborate, being able to work on stuff together and just working towards like a common goal. And so yeah, that stuff like it doesn't come that I mean like writing songs is difficult at times, of course, but it doesn't come hard to me in that like it's just something that I enjoy to do. And so I'm just happy to kind of always get back on the horse.
Yeah. Do you think like, I mean, you mentioned, that cycle of putting out a record, then touring on it. And I usually, when it comes to most records, not your release schedule. Okay. You're kind of an anomaly when it comes to, it's almost like every year there's something, but like a lot of people, they take that time, right? You take maybe a year, 8 months to a year to put this album together. By the time it's done and it's finished and it's ready to go out and you're touring on it, you're already burnt out on this creation of yours and
Yeah.
you got to go do this other thing. But it kind of seems like you're doing some of that, but you're not over pushing yourself so you can get ready to work on something new so you don't get sick of your creation.
Yeah. Uh I think playing new songs is always like the most exciting thing. Like I mean, well, first off, playing music live is that's like the number one thing in the world to me. I think that's an amazing experience, an amazing opportunity that I'm still very appreciative to have. Um, but yeah, like so because I find that to be so exciting, it's just I feel like I don't know. You do that you spend all this time working on something and then you're kind of chasing that feeling still, that feeling of like coming up with something new that moves you. Um, and so yeah, like I definitely feel like it's somewhat inevitable that you're going to feel I don't know, maybe bored by something that is old, that something that feels uh you know very well lived in. And
Yeah.
so I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel like sick of the old stuff. And so it's fun to just like mix it up by doing something new. Um to just continue to challenge ourselves to just keep working on stuff and just find new ways to think about the old stuff as well and just mix it all together. And I don't know. It's something that I feel like it's not like a it's not a challenge because it's not something that I have to like trick myself into doing. It's not something I feel like I need to grow towards or something, but it is just something I feel like you just need to, I don't know, you need to continue to work on things because it's a living organism, and that's something that should be maintained. Um, and but also part of that maintenance is living in the old stuff of, revisiting those moments, those songs, those ideas, and seeing how they evolve and seeing what they feel like now. So yeah, finding a good balance between those two things is something I feel like is helpful, uh, for me at least.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this is why, like, I ask certain questions, like for younger people that may listen to this and be starting a band to get some knowledge too from someone who's done it for a while now, and with all the releases you have, to be able to find something from someone who's been there, done that, and to not try to find a formula that someone else may tell you definitely works. It's finding that
Yeah,
little one piece that'll work for you from someone else, and that's
yeah,
why I love that stuff.
and that's some of the toughest stuff to learn because I feel like I get questions like that pretty often, and it's nice that people think I have some sort of answer, but I the problem is I don't.
Yeah.
And the thing that I just try and relay to people often is that you just have to do what feels right to you. And this is what feels right for me. Like this is how I have found, eh, you know, these are the things that I have found that work best for me. They may not be the same for anybody else, but you just kind of figure stuff out. You just try stuff, and what feels comfortable and what feels good is is what makes the most sense to you, and that's what people should do. Because if you're trying to fit your life into somebody else's advice just because you think it worked for somebody else, I think you're going to find that to be difficult. um it is just a weird personal thing, and yeah, maybe there's overlap, maybe I share a lot of things in common with other people, but I don't know, it's not because it's the right way to do it. It's just because that's what makes sense to myself and whoever else feels that way.
Yeah. Well, now I want to get back to, I want to bring you back to this moment as a child. You're a child and music kind of enters your life. It's like your first musical memory, the first time your ears stood up when hearing music as a child. Do you like have a moment or remember when you're a small child and music first hit you and, you know, you wanted to take more notice of what was being played?
I honestly don't, just because I feel like I was so surrounded by music from the time I was a kid. I come from a musical family, and it's a weird kind of musicality because my parents are not really into bands and records, but it was still really important to them. So like I remember in like the 5 disc CD changer in the family stereo, we always had like the Beatles Red album, like the early
Yeah.
Beatles greatest hits.
Yep.
And I remember like listening to that and like running around my house. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I want to hold your hand, just like losing my mind to that song. But then also I remember like, I don't know, being excited just to learn. Like I got put into piano lessons at a young age, and I remember being excited about that. I was like 7 years old, just kind of like learning how to play and figuring stuff out. And that was really exciting. And then at the same time, I have an older brother who's 7 years older than me. So he was a teenager getting into punk. And so at the same time I was learning piano, I was being exposed to like, I don't know, like the first thing he showed me was like Blink 182, and I really liked that. But then like shortly after that, he was showing me the Misfits and Minor Threat and these bands that were like, I don't know, extremely eye opening. But at the same time, there was something just like innate about it to me. Like I heard it and it just made sense. I'm like, yeah, I like the way this sounds. This is cool. And so I had all these things kind of intertwining in this weird way where I was like a child listening to music with my family. I was being exposed to like punk music through my older brother, and I was also kind of figuring out how to play music on my own at the same time. And so all those things just are jumbled together for me, and I don't know kind of like where it starts and where it ends. But all of that stuff was like extremely important to me, and is stuff that still stays with me to this day.
Yeah, it's I've always like I tell people like my musical education in life was I'm like I was the luckiest. I had a 10-year-old, a brother who's 10 years older than me, a sister
Yeah.
who was 4 years older than me. Like my mom loved Motown and doo-wop. My dad loved, Bob Seger and Gordon Lightfoot. My grandparents listened to jazz and Broadway show tunes. My brother was Zeppelin, AC/DC, Ozzy, Iron Maiden, and then my sister was like The Cure, The Smiths, Joy Division,
Yeah.
and then I got to find my own way too. And it's like I just having that surrounding and just like so much shit going on at all times. Like you're on sensory overload, but it all like made sense in its own way without even just like knowing it. And that's why I am where I am today, of hosting a stupid podcast about music and owning a record store and music venue, record label, nonprofit music organizations. And like, because all that jumbledness just led to fascination and just
Yeah.
constantly wanting to hear something new and find something new and be like, oh my God, I've never heard something like this before. What is this? Let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on top of like all these things that are so important about music and stuff, it's like, it's just a beautiful art form. Like I don't know. It sounds nice to me. Like I enjoy it. I just generally enjoy listening to music, and it just makes so much sense to me. Yeah. And like, I don't know. There's just something about that I felt since I was a kid that it just clicks with me, and it makes sense, and it moves me, and it's really amazing how you could just put these chords and these notes together, and somehow it evokes emotion, like a real genuine emotion.
Yeah.
And I don't like, there's no science behind that, this is like an idea I'm lifting from Paul McCartney, but like, yeah, there's nothing scientific about, putting two chords together, but somehow when you listen to them, it like you feel something. And that's something that I think is really amazing. And yeah, I felt that as a child, and I still feel that way. And I'm still looking for more stuff to, expand my feelings and my understanding. And just, it goes way beyond myself now, like trying to feel good. It's like you can understand other people, you can understand different cultures, you can understand different ideas, all through just the way that music is written and played. And that's a really amazing thing to be able to realize.
Yeah, music, the universal language of the world. Like you can kind of know who someone is even through a different language of music, and feel their pain or feel their love, feel like, and just, you get it. Like you're just like, oh my God, wow.
Yeah.
All right. So you're 7 years old, you're learning piano. How long did you stick with piano for?
I played piano for like 6-7 years, I think.
Good for you, man. Most of
yeah.
us like got forced into it and quit within a year.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like it by the time I was like a preteen, and that was the problem. I thought it was uncool. And also, I mean, I'm fortunate in that I have a good ear, and so I kind of like could hear the song played once and not remember it and not like be great at it, but I could fudge my way through it. And so I did that for a while until I could kind of convince my parents to let me quit. And then I was playing violin in like a local, like I took lessons, and I played like in a local community orchestra. And then I got to middle school, and then I got self-conscious about that, and I thought that was uncool. And then like shortly before I quit playing violin, I got an electric bass when I was like 10 years old for my birthday, I think. And I picked the electric bass because my older brother, the one who got me into punk, he played guitar. So I was like, okay, I can't play guitar because that's taken. I said I was going to play drums. My brother Ben, who I played in bands with and who I run the label with, he told me that he called the drums, so I couldn't play the drums. And I was like, okay, there's one thing left, it's the bass. And so I picked up the bass. I started playing. That came pretty easy to me, and I really enjoyed it. And then I convinced my parents to let me switch to upright bass, because like you still have to. That was like my only extracurricular in school, and they're like, you have to do something. You have to continue to play an orchestra. And so I switched to big bass, and then I kept playing that. And then I've like kind of come back around to piano a little bit. I try and like relearn it every so often, and I don't know, I struggle with that. It's tough. But yeah, it's like I've just been bopping around on instrument. I mean, I've stayed with bass for 25 years now, and I feel pretty comfortable with that. But like everything else, I just kind of like fiddle around with and figure it out, and just kind of try to get some sort of not fluency, but some sort of like understanding, and just I don't know, be able to plunk around and then and just kind of move on from there.
All right, so older brother playing guitar, Ben playing drums, you playing bass. Was your first band ever a family band? Like, was it? I mean, because I mean, 7 years older than you. I mean, usually probably out of the house by the time you picked up that
Yeah.
bass at 12. So probably not a family. But okay, when you get a musical instrument and you run out and try to start something, I always try to find the very first band name you were ever a part of.
Yeah, the first band I was ever a part of, it was a terrible name. It was called Salsa Shark. Um, and that was my brother Ben playing not even like the electronic drums as you probably understand them now, as like a, you know, a drum set that is plugged into an amp or something.
Mm-hmm.
This was like a like only four
Four
pads.
pads, yeah.
Yeah. And so he had to figure out how to like, I don't know, make it sound like a real drum set or something. And also he didn't understand, like he didn't understand how to play drums at that point. So he was like trying to like use his right hand to kind of play the hi-hat and the kick drum at the same time, um, which was tough. And then we had this kid that we were friends with named Mike, who we met through like summer camp. We did this like music summer camp, and he was our same age, and he was into punk already, and he had a guitar, and so we started playing with him, and yeah, we played 2 shows. His dad was somehow involved in doing something like maybe like some PTA kind of stuff with his middle school, and so they got us 2 gigs playing like the middle school dance, and we had to play like I don't remember how many songs, like 20 songs or something. It was crazy. And I don't know how we did it because we definitely didn't learn the ends of any of the songs. So we'd learn like the first verse and the chorus, and then somehow we would just like end the song. I don't know what we did. I have no memory. So yeah, we just like we played 2 shows like that and like wrote some original songs, and then uh yeah,
And that
that was like
salsa
my
shark
first.
dissolved.
Yeah, it dissolved pretty quickly, and then yeah, almost immediately started a band called Title Fight, and that was when we were 12 years old.
Huh.
That was like the, you know, so Salsa Shark was a real band, and that like we played shows, but it was like I don't know, we didn't really do traditional band things. Like we only had like 3 original songs. We played these cover shows and stuff, and then Title Fight was the first band that I did that was I would consider like a real band. Like we, you know, we worked on original music, and we consistently played shows and really were focused on that. And yeah, that was I started that when we all started that when we were like 12, 13 years old. And so yeah, we just kept doing that.
I don't know. I think there could be a revival for Salsa Shark in the works here. I mean, there
I
there had been something behind it. It led to something else. So I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's just fun playing music. I kind of like figured that out when I was young. We weren't good, you know, but it's just found something that like made sense. So just kind of kept pursuing it.
so when you did that and you got your first gig like that, I mean, because you'd already been playing in like choirs and things like and orchestras and everything, but like that first moment as like let's say a traditional band setting, like was that like the immediately scratch that needed to be itched, like, and as soon as it happened you were had to move on, you're like, I can't wait for the next one?
Uh, yeah, I think it was like tough because I was definitely really nervous, and like through, I don't know, through these other kind of musical ventures that we had, like I knew what it was like to play music in front of people. Um, Even though those were like such different situations, and they were, I don't know, maybe more nerve-wracking sometimes because a lot of those are like solo recitals,
Yeah.
and like you get up in front, I mean it's just like you get in front of other people's parents. There's like 20 people there. It's not like crazy, but that stuff is really nerve-wracking. And I think the band scenario is more comfortable, but I felt those nerves like in a new way, and I think it's because I cared more, because it was like something that I felt connected to, and so that feeling was like terrifying. Um, but yeah, playing was just like great. And I think more than anything, when I was young, I can't recall exactly how I felt, but it was just something that I was like, this is just what you do, like I just already had that idea. It's like, okay, like I saw my brother play in bands and he toured a little bit and they put out like a 7-inch, and I was like, yeah, this is just what you do. Like you start bands and you play shows and then you try to make a record and then you try and go play shows. That's like the dream. And so regardless if I was nervous or scared or if I didn't think we were like that great, it was just like I don't know, I'm sticking with this. This is just like what I'm doing. Like this is who I am now. And it's just I don't know. That feeling has like never really gone away. I've come to understand it in different terms, obviously, and I feel I don't know. I feel differently, just as passionate, but I feel like from a different perspective. But yeah, it was just this thing that I immediately latched onto, and I kind of haven't let go since.
And do you remember the first song you ever wrote and what it was and what it might have been about?
It was probably about nothing as a thing. Like I just wanted it to sound cool, so it's just gibberish. I don't remember what the first song I ever wrote was.
Hmm.
Uh,
It's okay. I just try to
yeah,
pull out memories. It's fine if you
no,
don't.
yeah. I mean, we wrote like 3 songs or something with Salsa Shark, and I like tried to write songs before that. I tried to start bands since I could remember. Like I remember being in first grade trying to write lyrics, and I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it was like I don't know. You're kind of like writing poetry or something. And so I remember like honestly, I remember being at a piano lesson, and I would go. My brother Ben and I are twins, and so we would go together. And so he would have 30 minutes, and then I would have 30 minutes. And when the other one was taking a lesson, you were supposed to like do your homework or practice at the this little keyboard with headphones or something. And I remember being at a piano lesson while Ben was having his and trying to write lyrics and like writing band logos and coming up with the band name and stuff. And so it was just something I've wanted to do since I can remember. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't put a lot of like significance on the first song or something. It was just it just felt like, yeah, this is just what you do. Again, like kind of returning that idea. And so yeah, it just tried something, tried to make it cool. It wasn't. It was really bad, I'm sure. But yeah, it's just like you try and then you just keep moving. You just try to be better the next time.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid too, I've always said, I mean, you usually when you got together with your friends and you all had an instrument or something, you spent more time trying to come up with a logo and a band name than you did actually trying to play songs and making them as good as they should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, you think about like, I don't know, what you're gonna wear at the first show or something.
Yeah.
Like these things that are like so ridiculous. It's like, no, we got to have everything perfect.
Now, how about, do you remember your first concert you ever went to and then possibly your first concert that you got to choose to go to? Because sometimes they're not one and the same.
Um, I remember the first concert I ever went to. The first show I went to, my older brother, Alex, he booked a show when he was, I guess he had to be, I don't know, 14 or something. It was a benefit show for my cousin who was in a car accident. And so he put together the show of all local bands. It was the bands were Magnus, uh, Bedford, 8 Ounce Joe, Vermicious Canids, and I think there was one more. And my whole family went to support the cause. And I was a child, but I was already like, I don't know. I just really looked up to my brother, and I thought everything he did was so cool. And so I knew like the idea of what like punk was or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna like impress my brother and his friends and stuff. And I was like telling them I was gonna mosh and all this stuff. Um, but I don't know. I just remember being like terrified. That's like what I remember from that show. Like I think that's like a kind of typical young boy thing of talking this big game of how you're so cool and how you're so tough, and
You
then
see it happen.
yeah, and then you're terrified of it. And so I remember like the lights went off, and there was like that band 8 Ounce Joe was a ska band, and I think there was like a circle skank pit for them, and I was like in the middle of it somehow, and I was like, oh my god, this is like terrifying. um and yeah, that's the first show I ever went to. That was 97. And then probably the first show that I wanted to go to was probably Blink 182 in like 2001. And my brother took me to that. There was I don't know, probably like five of us. It was my brother, his best friend Gary, uh Gary's younger brother was Ben and my best friend, is one of our still best friends, Matt, and then like maybe one or two other of my brother's friends, and we all carpooled up to the Blink show, and yeah, that was like, I mean, it was a concert, it was like a really big deal, but we were all really stoked on that. And then um I was 11 for that, and then probably like 2 years later is when I started to go to like local shows. Um, and it was kind of sporadic because I was like 13, and I don't know, my parents would like give us a ride to some things, but that was like kind of a big ask. And it was like they they trusted us, and they trusted like the venue and the people because they'd already been around it and aware of it from my brother going for so long. But it's like it's a pretty big ask to let 13-year-olds go and be by themselves for a couple of hours with like a bunch of weird, scary looking adults
Yeah.
in a room where just like people are ripping cigs and just like loud music is blaring. Um, but like by the time we were 15, another 2 years after that, we were going to shows every weekend. No matter what. Like even if we didn't like the band, we were fortunate to live in a area where we had a couple local venues, and so we would just post up in the parking lot every weekend, no matter what kind of. And more often than not, we found bands that we were into and checked out all this stuff. But yeah, it's just like that's just what we did. That was like where we hung out. That's where we made friends and stuff. And so without fail, we just ended up in the parking lot of Cafe Metropolis like every weekend.
Now, was that like you felt your sense of community there? Was there a certain, I mean, was there a certain sound that only came through that area? Was it a bunch of different style of music that you kind of latched onto, or did you kind of find that rabbit hole of a sound? Like you wanted to be really into punk and stuff, but was there like that gateway band that for you to to just experiment with other styles of music, or was it just one full same scene all the time there?
No, I think it was a pretty different, varied scene, which is cool. I mean, we come from an area where there was like a pretty robust underground music scene, and I feel very fortunate to be from an area like that has like a long running history of bands and shows and venues and stuff. Um, a lot of the people who were like really putting stuff together in the mid to late '90s kind of moved on by the time my friends and I really came up. Um, and so there was still like a venue and people booking at the venue and all these bands and stuff, but um, it kind of started to get a little more narrow by the, I don't know, the end of the aughts, and it became really focused on just traditional capital H hardcore. And I was really into that, and I mean, I still am really into that. That's my bread and butter. But yeah, like I feel like at the beginning there'd be ska bands and folk punk bands and indie bands and dance punk bands and like I don't know, just like all this different kind of stuff. And I had a pretty strong sense of identity through my brother, just kind of copying what he was into, like rating my brother's CD book and like uploading that to the family iTunes when I was a kid was like, you know, an extremely important moment in my life. Like that kind of set the tone for what I was into. And even though that was somewhat broad, like it would be stuff like, I don't know, Sam I Am and Side by Side, uh, which are like two very different sounding bands, but generally they're from the underground music punk world. So it's like kind of it makes sense. Yeah, so like that stuff, it was just what I latched onto, and I kind of like refined my taste as I got older. um but yeah, we were just like open to whatever kind of came our way, and it kind of came from this world of 90s underground punk, which is very it's varied for sure, but it has a couple, I don't know, defining characteristics that I feel like span all genres and stuff. And so yeah, it just kind of, I feel like that tradition continued where we were from.
Yeah, like Sam I Am for me was huge. But I basically grew up in 80s and 90s,
Mhm.
and I got, it was probably like last year. I had a kid come into the record store and ask me if I heard of the emo band Sam I Am, if I had anything by them. And I said, I go, is there another band called Sam I Am that's an emo band? He's like, no, like he's like, I think they had a big hit like in the 90s or something. I go, you mean one of the greatest albums of all time, Clumsy? Like that album? I'm
Yeah.
like, but I'm like, what? Like, how did you just label that as emo? He's like, oh, well, they were on an emo playlist. I'm like, yeah, there's no way to tell what anybody's going to call some sort of music, but just because it was a little poppier than 90s punk, the underground punk at the time, that it now falls under an emo playlist. I'm like, that's the kind of stuff where I'm just like, this is crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
too old now. I don't know.
I mean, it's the way that everything is Midwest emo now.
Yeah.
It's like,
What do you sound like?
meaningless term.
We're Midwest emo.
Yeah,
What
it's
does
like,
that mean?
oh yeah, we're from New Hampshire. We're a Midwest emo band. It's like that makes no sense.
Yeah.
You're a New England emo band. Like, come on.
All right. Here's my favorite question to ask an artist. No one's ever heard of the band Glitterer before. You meet this stranger. They don't know who you are. They've never listened to your music, and you're going to play them one Glitterer song. What song are you playing them?
I always have recency bias with this kind of question. Anytime like anybody asks like favorite song or something, and so the first thing that jumps to my mind is a song off the new record called Stainless Steel.
It keeps repeating now, feels like fate. It's everywhere I turn, can't escape. Wish I had ability. Wish I wasn't incapacitated.
I think it's a good representation of the band because it kind of has, I don't know, a little bit of everything that we're about. And I just feel like it's, I don't know, I feel like it's a good song. I'm pretty happy with that one.
It is a very good song. So
Thank you.
Now you said the term favorite song, but do you have a favorite song then of yours? If that's what you're going to play for someone and it's not your favorite song, say, do you have a favorite song of yours that for some reason or another stands out to you that just like, I'm so proud of that song?
Right now I feel like that's my favorite, but it's like also, I don't know, I'm terrible with favorites because I don't really have any. I change them too often. But there are songs on the, like, for me, my favorite song is like the newest song always.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to change my opinion every day on what my favorite song is on the new record, but that's just because it's like, I don't know, this is a new song and I'm just excited about it. So it's tough. I don't know. I can't answer because I just don't have a favorite. You know, I have too many favorites.
Listen, you don't have to have an answer for everything. That's what makes it easy and why we're human. We're humanizing each other here. It's okay to not always have an answer.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's pretty punk rock to not have an answer, actually. Okay, moving on from that. So you've performed many times throughout your life, and this is where we like to get to the humanality of things. Is there a performance in your career to date that you kind of hold it as, if you have a bad performance one night, you say, well, at least it wasn't that? Like there's like a performance that occupies this fucking space in your brain that something went terribly wrong. Don't worry, we'll come back to a good one too, but something that you're just like, man, that was terrible. I can't believe that happened.
Honestly, no. I mean, yeah, of course we've had shows where many terrible things have happened. But I like those shows, to be honest with you. They're like a challenge. I think, and we talk about this in the Glitter Van somewhat often. It's like the times when you pull up and there's like 4 people and they look like so uninterested. It's like, okay, now we have to show that we're really about this, because it's like, what are you gonna do? Sit there and like pout and like not play because people didn't come up or something, like come out? It's like, no. When those things happen, I'm like, yeah, this is an opportunity to hopefully show these 4 people like what we're about. And I love that. I love, like, I don't know, the opportunity to try and just play as best as we can in like a weird situation. Technical difficulty stuff is like tough because I don't know, you can't overcome that. And there's been plenty of times when I've like, I don't know, unplugged myself, or I don't know, I broke a mic stand the other day. I just like stepped on it and I like cracked it in half and stuff like that. Like those kind of things suck. And like, that's the stuff that will take the wind out of my sails, just because it's so like difficult to overcome that. And there's nothing you can do other than just like take the time to fix it and then kind of like lose the momentum. But I don't know. All those things are just, they're just normal things that happen at shows. And so I don't know, I kind of appreciate them all.
Okay. How about a performance that was, you know, it doesn't have to be the pinnacle of your career to date, but like a performance that stands out for you that you were immensely, when you walked off stage, you were proud of? And I'm sure it was probably the last one you had, but I mean, one where you're just like, wow, that was, if I could bottle that, that would be the one.
Yeah, there's a show we played on our first UK tour with the band. I went to the UK once with my laptop, and that was really crazy. And then I went when we went back. The last show we played on the tour was in London at this venue called Ned Russin, and it was like the biggest show of the whole tour. And it just kind of like was a perfect show. It felt like glitter stuff is awkward sometimes, and I think I intentionally made it that way because I think doing the band by myself for a period of time made people really unsure of what to expect. And I don't think the music is very confrontational, but the setup was for that period, that stretch of time. And so coming right out of it, I think people didn't really know what to make of it, even though it was a easy traditional band structure. And so that first time we played New Cross Inn with the band, I had played there when it was just me and it was kind of awkward. And then we came back and everyone was dancing. Everyone was having a good time. There's this video that I think I still have on my phone where there's this guy right up front and he does this amazing dance move where I kind of conceive of it as like a roller coaster, where he's like kind of doing some sort of like, you know, like worm maneuver with his arms, and he puts his arm up like all the way to the top of like his head, holds it there for a second, pauses, and then like goes down from there. And I think of that move like all the time, like this guy like doing this amazing dance move right up front. Everybody else around him is like dancing. It looks like Charlie Brown Christmas in there. Just like that was like such a great show. And we left there and it like, I was in like such high spirits because it just felt like that's how it should be, like everyone just having a good time, vibing to the music, just like fully in it, and just feeding off one another. Like that got me excited, and so like I feel like we played really well that night, and I feel like the crowd got more into it, and it wasn't like this crazy thing of like everyone going nuts. It was just like the room of, I don't know, 100 some people just like dancing to themselves, and that just like got me so excited, and that's still one of my favorite shows we played.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like confirmation of what you're doing matters, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's that moment where you're just like, oh, like, because sometimes you can be like, hey, you said to the 4 people, but like this, what I'm doing matters. Like, this is fucking awesome. Like, wow,
Yeah.
this is great.
It's playing music to me is like the ultimate. And when it's at its best, it feels like everyone kind of coheres into one being. And I feel like I kind of am able to remove myself as an individual from the situation. And that's a feeling that I'm always chasing. And it's really tough to do that when you're in a kind of like confrontational situation. And I feel like when you play to less people, it feels more confrontational, because it's like I'm trying to just like go crazy. I'm trying to like play at 110%. But then when there's more people and it's just kind of like everyone is feeling it, then I feel like I can get lost. And that's when it's at its best for me. It's just like when everyone feels like they are equally in it and equally of the same mind, then I can just not think. I can not be there. And that's kind of like I don't know. That's the pinnacle of playing to me.
All right, biggest one of the biggest days in your life is the day you get your freedom. So, and this is probably going to be hard since you have a twin brother. So the freedom may not have come, like for most of us that don't have twins, but it's the day you get your driver's license and you get to blast music for the first time in your car while you're driving. Do you remember what it was?
I don't. I have a distinct memory of on like a drive I did shortly after I got my license, where I kind of like planned it out, and I listened to there's at the time it was an unreleased Rival Schools record. It has since been released as a record called Found. It was like their second LP that they scrapped. And I remember listening to that like on my I forget like what the setup was, but I had like some weird iPod contraption. And I remember like hooking it up and be like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to this song on this drive down 81. Yeah, and that was like, I don't know, something I was like really excited about. I still love that record, but like that was at a time when I was like, I don't know, obsessed with that thing. Yeah. And so like I remember a couple of those moments, but I don't know, the first time I had a car, I have no idea what I put on. I feel like it's like the same as being young and talking this big game. I was probably terrified. I remember like the first time I had a drive with my dad, I was like so scared to take a left onto like the main drag of Kingston. But I don't know. You learn to live with the stress. And then eventually you get to listen to the Rival Schools record.
Yeah. Yeah, and I only ask these questions because they're questions that I remember. Like I came up with like these questions because I remember getting in my car when I got my license and got home and got in my car and put in Screeching Weasel CD. And don't know why it was Screeching Weasel. It might have been because I probably only owned 3 CDs at the time.
Yeah.
But it was that. And it's like, I remember that freedom moment of like the window being down because my birthday's in May, so it was nice out, and just being like, yeah, I'm free. And then blew the clutch 2 weeks later on my car. So whatever.
Yep.
In your life, do you have a band that like never lets you down? An artist or music, band that you listen to constantly that, we threw the term favorites out before. I don't call it favorites. I call it like bands that you just love and they never let you down and you constantly always listen to them and you don't know what else you want to listen to.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the Beatles are still that band for me. They've been that band since I was a kid. But I think more than anything, I think it's Fugazi for me. I think that they are a band that they were together for so long that they have a great discography with a bunch of releases, so you can kind of like pick your mood and go from there. They have the thing I've been doing recently is I downloaded the live archive, so I have like all this new stuff to dig through, um, all these new ways to experience it. Yeah, they're my favorite band, and so I'm never tired of listening to them.
Love that. Saw them in '93 in New York
Amazing.
City. That was a moment for me. That was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? It was so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, they're the best.
How about something you listen to that people be very surprised you get tons of enjoyment out of listening to over and over again?
I've really been on an ambient kick lately, so I just went and saw this guy Laraji in Baltimore, and he's one of my favorites. And Numero reissued, I think, a decent amount of his records and like did a cool box set for him. But he has stuff that kind of like is it feels like weird, kind of kitschy new age stuff, and then he has stuff that's like really just like, I don't know, zone out ambient shit. And I like it all. I like, there's a song called Cosmic Joe that I put on the van all the time. Because like it's like almost silly to a certain point, um, but it's so good, and it's like it just kind of, I don't know, it lightens the mood whenever I put that on, and so I love throwing that on when we're on tour, and I listen to it a lot at home still.
Nice. Yeah, I love Numero, how they just have a way of getting the good stuff out there.
Yeah.
I give them so much credit for what they're doing.
Yeah, they make their stuff look good too.
Yeah. That's why it's so expensive.
Yeah.
All right. 5 minutes left to live. Meteors hurling into the earth. You have to listen to one song and one song only. What song is that?
I don't know. Betrayed by Minor Threat. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Then that's the answer.
Yeah, that's like I didn't know that the Minor Threat discography was like, I didn't know what a discography meant when I got that CD when I was a kid, and I was just like, anytime because also the way I listen to music is usually like I listen to a record straight through, and I think I just got that because I had a CD player when I was a kid, and you just put the CD in and you have to listen to it. And so I remember every time I would listen to that and it would get to Betrayed, I'd be like, this is the best song. And I didn't know that that was the start of Out of Step. I didn't realize like that's like, that's the album opener. That's
Yeah.
like that's like a big deal song. But every time I would just love to get to that point. And yeah, that's like, I don't know, I think one of the best songs ever written.
Wow. And I love the first thing that came to your head. Sometimes I hate when people try to think and then they waver, but it's always the answer when it's the first thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, I should. It also feels like, okay, there's a meteor coming. Like, you're not trying to be like, listen to "Here Comes the Sun" or something. Like,
it'd be kind of cool if you did, though. No one's ever said that here in 5 years. So.
That would be nice, but I feel like that's a song that, like, I don't know, still energizes me decades after hearing it for the first time. And so it's like, I don't know, that's the mood that I feel like you put me in with the hypothetical meteor.
All right. Here's another hypothetical. Sorry that we're on this like, downward spiral of questions, but it's an unfortunate situation. Your domicile is burning to the ground. All living things are out safely. Everyone is safe and sound, even the goldfish and the gerbils. But you have a minute to run back in and grab one musical thing that means the most to you. What's the one thing you're running back in?
I'd grab my bass. Does that count?
Yeah.
That's like, yeah. I have a couple instruments, not too many, but I have had this one bass since 2009, and it's like that's my most sentimental possession by far. I still play it. I still really enjoy it. I think it's a great instrument. Yeah, and that's just been with me since the beginning, kind of. And it's something I enjoy it. I think it's like a great instrument, but I just also feel really attached to it. And I feel like that's, I don't know, that's something that I'm just never going to let go of.
No, that's great. I mean, again, very quick answer. I love it. Some people, they have to really think, and you didn't even hesitate on that one. That was great.
I mean, I played that game before.
Yeah.
That's like, and I was like, yeah, that's got to be the thing.
Now, do you have like something, like music memorabilia, maybe a record, a poster, a T-shirt, or something that means a lot to you? Like, are you that type of person to begin with that has a sentimental value other than your bass, like to some record or something that means the most to
Yeah.
you that you want?
I mean, I've been a record and a shirt collector since I'm a kid. And so I like all that stuff. And this, honestly, the stuff that means the most to me are the things that, like, I don't know, are something that my friends did, or something my brother's records are really important to me. And I have all those, and I'll fucking buy more when I get the chance, like if there's something that I don't have and pops up, like I'll spend money on that stuff. Like I love those records. Yeah. And so like those things are really important to me. There are records that I like spend a lot of money on and that I love, and they're like really important to my life. But I don't know if I have the same sentimental attachment as I do for the records that were made by my friends and my peers, because that's like, I don't know, that I feel like I have an actual connection to.
Yeah.
That's like my real community.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. I have friends' records here too that I just like, yeah, those are, and knowing about it and hearing the songs before they're right, like all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, like that attachment's really hard to get away from.
Yeah.
Well, before we move into our final segment, I've kept you here long enough on, but I know you got a tour coming up. So right now I'd love to give you the opportunity to tell people everything that you have coming up, how they can track what Glitterer is doing, and how to support you by purchasing your music, supporting the label, supporting everything you do, because it's important. I try to push it as much as I can to tell people it doesn't matter if 50 cents or $1, if you got anything, it helps the artist that you enjoy listening to create the next song and hopefully come to your town. So anything you do to help. So now is your opportunity to tell everybody how they can find what it is you're up to.
Yeah. So we're going on tour in February, March, with Graham Hunt in Prize Horse. All that information is on glitter.com/tour. That's going to be like a full US. That's a pretty lengthy trip. We're really excited for that. Shortly before we head out on the road, we're playing a record release show in DC on January 17th. That's a part of a weekend of shows that my friends and I are actually booking. They're all a benefit for this group called We Are Family, who does senior outreach for seniors living in DC. They're a really great group. And it's a weekend of shows all highlighting local DC stuff. So the Friday show is a record release for a band called Position Unida. Saturday is our record release. Sunday is a record release for a compilation of all local punk bands. And all that stuff is available at the Second Street Records link tree, and also on the Purple Circle link tree. And for Purple Circle Record stuff, which is the label that I do with my brother Ben, which put out the new Glitter record. If you want any of those records, please tell your local record store to check us out. Right now we have distribution through a couple places, but we also deal direct. So record stores can get it through Midheaven or Revelation, or they could just hit us up, and we're happy to continue building relationships with record stores and people, and just expanding our community. And yeah, so those are places to check out all the stuff that's going on, if you should so choose.
Awesome. All right, our final segment. This is our weekly 3 segment. It's 3 things you're listening to right now that you would like other people to check out. You're going to give 3, then I give my 3 for the week.
All right, let me pull my phone for this one. The first one I'm thinking of is this band Sword 2. They just put out their record at the end of November. They're a band from Atlanta. I found out about them through this fanzine called My Little Underground, and they were mentioned as like part of the new crop of like whatever shoegaze bands. I was unfamiliar with them at the time. I checked out their last record, really enjoyed it. The last song on that record was amazing. They put out this new record. The last song again is like stupendous, so good. Really big fan of that. There's a band called Good Flying Birds from Indianapolis. They actually hosted us. They put us up on tour, and then they played DC shortly after that. They're like this really cool mix of like I don't know. It's kind of like power pop guided by voices or something. It's like these weird kind of short, quirky songs.
Well, I love the description already. So
Yeah, they're really cool, and that record came out this year. And then the final thing, this band Sensor Gross from DC probably put on my favorite record this year. They are on Discord. They are doing some touring at the moment, and so hopefully they're coming by where you live. You could check them out in person, but they are a really great kind of like art punk band. My favorite moments of theirs are similar to my favorite moments of a Fugazi, where they'll have a song that will just kind of feel like driving and kind of like dirgy and just kind of like moving, and then it will open up into this beautiful like quick melodic moment before kind of returning to that driving stuff. And they just do these like weird, quirky little weird songs, and there's just this like beautiful little kernel in every little bit. Yeah, and I think they're my favorite band in DC. They're awesome, and yeah, they put out a record this year that I very highly recommend.
awesome. Love it. I love getting recommendations that I haven't heard, because then I go out and listen to them all, so I can hopefully put them on my threes at some point.
Yeah.
So my three for this week, my first one is a punk band called Grave Secrets. They have an album, I Wish I Was Sorry, that I'd been bumping this week. Next is a band called Homefront. It's a lengthy description of how I would call them. They're new wave shoegaze punk that sounds 80s-ish and then certain times hits you like late 90s. It's really fucking good. It's just so hard to explain, but it's just great fucking music that you put on and you're like, I don't know if I like this, and when it's over you're like, I fucking loved that. And last but not least is a band called Death Lens, punk band. They dropped a song recently called Power. They've been around for quite a while, since the 90s, but new song Power is just it's probably played like 35 times now by me. So that's how good of a song it is. Those are my three for this week.
Nice.
But Ned, I want to say a huge thank you, not only for spending over an hour here with me, but thank you for creating the music that brought us together. To me, that's the most important part of, bringing people together is, we just had an over hour conversation, not seeing each other, not knowing each other, and having a conversation flow, all because you created some spectacular music that made me want to reach out to you and have a conversation. So thank you for creating that music for me and giving me, some brightness in my dark days. So thank you so much for that, man.
Thank you for listening. It really means a lot.
But everybody out there in the world, you know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to Glitter, and have a great fucking time.
Sell me something I don't know. Feeling vulnerable. Shine a light right in my shadow. Somebody told me. Somebody
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.